Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Anna Morphides with Wendy Cards Counseling, and today's video is totally inspired by a beautiful session I had with one beautiful soul that I work with, and it's going to talk about why we experience fear in our relationships. So whether you are starting in a new relationship or you are in a relationship, or the thought of being with someone in a relationship, whatever stage of relationship that you're in. And it doesn't have to necessarily be fear that you're feeling, because it might be anxiety or discomfort, because the emotion of fear has so many feelings that stem from it that lead back to the emotion of fear. And you know what? I should probably grab that. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with the emotions and feelings wheel. So stemming out of fear, we actually have scared, anxiousness, rejection, insecurity, inadequacy, inferiority, alienated, detestable, terrified, and frightened. So we can feel all of these things when we are in a relationship, or whatever stage of relationship that you're in, whether you're just starting it or you're in it for a while, or even thinking about having one. And we're going to talk about where these fears and emotions come from, because to be honest, it is my understanding now that we are actually not born with all of these emotions. These emotions start to exist within us as we experience the world and our primary caregivers around us. We start to integrate their feelings, their actions, the way that they treat us into our own core beliefs, and like our synapses as our nervous system is forming when we're younger. And remember that like a child's brain too, it's in the theta wave until it's about 7 years old, so it's like super impressionable. We absorb all these core beliefs about ourselves because we're actually born innately knowing and thinking that we are worth everything. Like the soul is pure, it knows it comes here to receive love and safety and security and all these things. But because of so many intergenerational pattern wounding, a lot of these secure attachment styles are breached because the primary caregivers did not have a chance to cultivate that within themselves or feel that themselves from their primary caregivers. So the population is split to almost 50-50. Like 44% of us have a not secure attachment style, according to studies. But that is, of course, changing now because a lot more people are becoming awoken to the fact that attachment style is indeed something that is real and valid, and it can help make sense of our insecurities and fears. But a lot of the times, even outside of the attachment style, I know I took this course while I was doing my counseling school, and it was all about, it was a workshop, and it was on the vagus nerve. So this nerve called the vagus nerve is the most primitive nerve that exists in our body. It's the first one that is formed, and everything stems out of it. The parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system run from it. It's literally the brain for all of our neurons, all of our nerves, all of our things. And that starts to, of course, it starts to form within the womb. And research now actually also shows that sometimes even when we are in our mother's womb, we can, what's the word that I'm thinking of? We are absorbing her energetic field. So if the parent is super anxious or is in a bad connection, does not have support for the pregnancy, like if the feminine energy that is carrying that child is not in the most optimal state, predominantly is living in a state of fear, insecurity, and all these other things, a lot of the times we do acquire part of that, and it becomes part of our vagus nerve. It becomes part of our vagus nerve, and then in turn, it fires off signals within our own nervous system that we start to develop, and then we create synapses that simulate that of our mother. Which, when I was taking that workshop, I was quite flabbergasted, actually, because I understood when we did attachment style what huge influence parenting has on the children and the adults that we become. But then when I learned about the vagus nerve and its ability to absorb and start to fire off signals that simulate that of the mothers while still in the womb, I was floored, because then it put so much, I felt pressure and responsibility on me as a parent, because my children at that time were, how old were they? 7 and 8, 8 and 9, around there. And so it's at the cusp where they're going from the most impressionable stage to where they start to form their beliefs about themselves and who they are. So in my head, I was thinking, thank God I caught this now, and I know about this now, because it is this simple to undo any unhelpful core beliefs, or I don't want to call it damage, but like anything that's like negative. All we have to do sometimes is just bring awareness to it, understand where it comes from, and affirm the complete opposite, and then boom, we are healed. It can be that simple, or sometimes we just need to do a little bit more affirmations or a little bit more work, but we have to listen to what our body is saying. So I know for me, I've had to heal a lot of things in my relationships. From my abandonment wound, I would feel that really, really, really strong. Whereas I was in a relationship or starting a new relationship, I would literally wait for the other shoe to drop. So my body would remember the imprints of what it experienced as a child, because my father had to leave overseas. We lived in Canada, and then we went to Greece, and then my dad only went back to Canada so he can work and make more money, because it was just more abundant for him to work in Canada, and he like really missed it. So there was a few years that we were not together, but I didn't know that. I was so young, and now we know that children internalize things as if it's their fault. So I internalized that as if it was my fault, and I was abandoned because I was like not good enough and not worthy. So that's where that wound started to form, along with some other things that happened in my childhood, and I felt completely abandoned. So that wound, when I would enter into a relationship, I would feel it. Oh, I can't even explain it. It would be all through my body. I would feel it all throughout my body. It was like this terrifying feeling that the other shoe would drop and I would just be, left behind. So I had to like really work with my body. So a really good way to work with the emotions that are born from past experiences, from current situations, right? Because the body keeps a score. Now we know, thanks to books by Dr. Bessel Van Derek. Why am I forgetting his name right now? I'm gonna put it in the comment box below. He wrote The Body Keeps a Score, along with Love Sense by Dr. Sue Johnson, and I don't want to talk about it. How to Do the Work, Keeping the Lung You Find, Brainstorm, Why Me, Why This, Why Now. We know now from all these books that whatever happens to us when we're children, the imprint of that experience, if it has not had a chance to process or be understood by our body and not integrated into it, it's going to resurface and it's going to come back. And other people and or situations are going to keep coming into our life until we heal that. So when I face my fear of my abandonment and I understand it and I heal it, then naturally I'm not going to experience that again. I'm not going to have the same feeling in my body anymore. Yes, there might be remnants of it. And yes, it I might get like a small little test from the universe, but it doesn't feel quite the same as like when the wound is unhealed and it really is alive within your body still. It doesn't overtake me or overtake my logic or prevent me from, you know, like doing other functions because it's so strong. It prevents me from working or from eating because I'm overthinking it, right? So pay attention to what your body is saying to you. Where are you feeling it? What is it feeling like? What are you needing to heal? And then you can affirm the complete opposite. The way that I healed my abandonment wound was actually, I got some energetic healing. There is a local chiropractor here in Vancouver who, I don't know how, he has this ability to tap into stored emotions in the body. And it's called a muscle test that he does. And sure enough, when the word abandoned came up, my whole body collapsed and I cried so much. Like all that abandonment that I had stored in my body for so long, it totally just came out. What other things have I felt? Fear of being rejected. That was a little bit different to heal. And my rejection wound, I feel it in my tummy. It's like, you know where your third chakra is? Sorry, your second chakra, just below your tummy. It's like your sense of self. I feel it right there, that I'm not good enough to be loved, so I'm bound to be rejected. Then I would heal that by, of course, doing affirmations and accepting all parts of myself. Saying I accept all parts of myself. Yes, I am beautiful, I am wanted, all the things that I would want to hear someone say to me, I would say them to myself. What other fears have I had that I had to heal? When I am in a connection, starting a connection. Yes, I talked about the rejection. And then of course my anxiety, my anxious attachment style. I had to heal that too. So my anxious attachment style, how did I feel that? Right? So anxious attached people tend to cling. And I really felt that, again, I want to say it kind of overtook my whole body. Because I guess once I understood then that my sympathetic nervous system is into its full mode, right? It wants to fight to protect me from the danger of someone leaving me, because that's what I did as a child. It was like clinging on to my primary caregiver. Like, don't leave me, love me, don't hate me, don't call me names, like love me. And like, you're clinging to get that. So yes, again, my anxious attachment style, I would feel it all over and it felt really uncomfortable. Like, yeah. And you know, when you have anxiety and you can't really eat or drink and you feel like you're just high alert, that's because your sympathetic nervous system is on, it's on drive. It's like on overdrive. So your hormones are active, like everything's active. And then we also prevent our body from doing its natural functions because we're taking away like all the little mitochondria that produce energy to work our sympathetic nervous system, as opposed to, you know, rest and digest, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, or the lymphatic system, which helps with our immunity, like all these other things. So I healed my anxious attachment style, but I'm actually going to make a separate series of videos on that based on a viewer request that I had. So I'm going to make another video after this one, how I healed my anxious attachment style, and then I'll link it onto here. And then I'm going to, so we'll do a whole separate video on that because that's a lot to unpack just in one video. So I'm going to leave this for you right now, right here. Remember that a feeling that you have is a lot of the times, if not most of the time, an indication of remnants of emotional wounding that took place in the past and was integrated into your body that's just coming up. But also, I do know that sometimes as well, there is the intuition as well that is trying to tell you, like if you're entering a connection and you're feeling not sure about it, you're supposed to drop into your heart, because your heart always knows, because your intuition will never feel like fear. It will always be love-based. Anything that feels like fear-based is something that happened in the past. I just want to make sure, because I'm thinking within myself too, like if I was, because I was like abused as a child and then abused later on in my connections, like I know I would never bring that in now, or would never have that experience, because I've changed so much the way I think and feel about myself. So I know that I'm a true testament to all the work. But I wonder what I would feel like if someone did come in and was calling me names, or that experience started to come again. Yeah, I feel like it would be a clear knowing now. Like I would just have a knowing in my heart that no, this person is like not for me. I'm not going to be repeating this same pattern. It's like when you know that it's your intuition telling you you are repeating a same pattern, there's this feeling, there's a sort of clarity to it. Yes, there's a sort of clarity to it. But then, yes, listen to what your body is saying, because sometimes even when you heal those wounds and you enter a connection, you might even have fears if the person is treating you like you have never been treated before. So if you enter a connection, like say, like me, right? So I've healed so much of my wounds, and then I enter a connection where someone is super loving and super caring and giving. Like in the beginning, that feels really weird to me, because I'm like, wait, what's happening here? Why are they speaking to me like that? Because it feels so unfamiliar within my body. My body does not know what that feeling is like. It's never had a chance to integrate it until I actually started to do my affirmations and my gratitude and all the work on myself, self-love, mirror work. Excuse me. So I was giving it to myself, so now the world is mirroring that back to me. Even for me to experience it from the outside world took a minute, because I even sort of had fear of that being fake or not real. But then we have to like quickly reframe those thoughts and be like, no, I deserve this. I'm worth it. This is what it should be like. Like have full faith that what you're experiencing is actually meant for you to be experienced, and don't let the doubts creep in, because that's just your misaligned ally called the ego that was developed when you were a child just to protect you from those past experiences. And yeah, it's just used to doing the same. And when it feels unfamiliarity, even if that familiarity is bad for us, if it feels unfamiliarity, it doesn't really know what to do with it. So it will try to protect us from that, as opposed to trying to protect us from repeating our wounds, if that makes sense. So that's why the intuition is really good to follow when it comes to protecting our wounds, because that will never lie or misalign or misguide us like the ego does at times. So I hope this video made sense. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing. Thank you so much for those that have donated to the channel. Please don't ever feel like you have to do anything. You don't ever have to subscribe or like or comment or donate, but I really appreciate it when you do that. It helps me and my channel grow, and yeah, hopefully to have more time to put towards this. And with all my gratitude and love, as always, I would love to hear if you have any concerns, comments, and I'll see you next time.